Hey everyone, it's Jason. Welcome to another legendary James Bond deck building game. This is for the expansion, The Spy Who Loved Me. So following along with the core set and the other expansions, is we're getting another full movie out of this. But unlike the base game and the first expansion, we are revisiting, because we went through all the James Bonds, we're revisiting one of the Bonds. We're going back to Roger Moore's James Bond. So we're not getting any brand new, we're not getting any new starter deck or base cards like that for him. Yes, we're getting this. It's like, nobody does it better than Bond. This new exciting expansion follows a plot to the classic film, The Spy Who Loved Me, joining 007 in his battle against one of his greatest foes, the indestructible Jaws. Along the way, you'll face other notorious villains, complete epic missions, all while avoiding perilous traps and pitfalls. Are you up to the task? Let's join the team of James Bond and his Russian counterpart, the extremely capable Agent Triple X, in battle the evil madman Karl Stromberg. So we'll get the full set. We'll get our 5 characters for the set. James Bond, named ally, usually like the other 3 mix of cards, vehicles, allies, or equipment. And then we will get the bad guy with their mission and their henchmen and their villain deck and all that stuff. So let's look at the rule sheet quick so we can see what's kind of new in here. So they're recommending to start off with Karl Stromberg and his group, Incite the Nuclear War Scheme, and Leperius Soldiers. Again, now once you buy this is all the stuff that'll come in there. There's an extra Steam you can play as well. But there's nothing else to switch out in this box like there have been in the other ones, but you can swap them with anything else. Alright, so this is perils, whether it's a bomb, a drop stone block, a treacherous contact, Bond has survived plenty of perils, introduces a new card type called perils. If you're playing with the Karl Stromberg Mastermind, Spy Who Loved Me villain group, or Incite Nuclear Mission, or the new special wounds, you'll need to use perils. Shuffle the 10 perils, put them face down in a stack near the Mastermind. During the game, many of the effects will teleport to draw a peril. Take the top card of the peril stack, put it face up in front of you. Each peril has 2 parts. The first is a challenge you must complete by the end of your turn. If you do not, tail the peril and get its reward. Or if you do, tail the peril. Some happen immediately, some happen later. The second part happens if you don't complete the challenge by the end of your turn. Before you draw a new hand, follow the instructions and then tail the peril. If you tail it in the middle of your turn, if you draw it in the middle of your turn, anything you did before the peril does not count towards completing it. So if you generated 10 recruit and attack, and then you draw a peril for some reason, but defeating an enemy, it says draw a peril, you don't get to apply any of the previous stuff. Whether you complete it or not, end of the turn tail is peril is KO'd. Put it in a discard pile. If it ever runs out, shuffle and make a new one. Completing a peril's challenge does not prevent you from using a heal action. Maybe somehow draw a peril and it's not your turn. You still have till the end of your turn to do it, not till the end of the next current turn. So this works very much like Marblehead Traps, except these are going to be in a special deck instead of mixing with the villain groups. They come out, you have till the end of the turn to try and complete it, which means sacrificing being able to do other stuff, probably. We have another new one, so Karl Stromberg's dream is to create a new world beneath the sea. In this game, have many cards that gain the new Submerge ability. Once a card says Submerge, rotate it 180 degrees upside down. Once its submerged text should now be right side up. This is kind of cool, because they're going to be on the bottom of the card. You can flip them upside down. So if we're looking at Karl Stromberg's card here, we have that blue text, so when he submerges, it flips over. Now that's right side up so you can read it, and that's an easy way to tell what it is. While it's submerged, it can't be fought, completed, or KO'd. You must first surface by paying the cost with the submerged text. When you surface a card, rotate it back normally. It can now be fought, completed, or KO'd normally. When a card's submerged, though, the rest of the game text still exists, so it still does master strikes, escapes, so on and so forth. Paying a surface does not cause fighting it, so you can still use your heal actions. And it can normally be moved by anything else. So all it does is it means you have to unsubmerge it before you can defeat it. Otherwise, all the rest of its stuff still applies. And we have special wounds and normal wounds. This expansion adds an optional special wound to the game called Goodbye, Mr. Bond. When you gain a wound, it instructs you to draw a peril, and then KO the wound. When using special wounds during setup, shuffle them into the wound stack, and then turn it face down. From now on, Never instructed to gain a wound from the stack. Look that first. It has game text followed the instructions. Some cards say normal wounds. In this case, draw a card from the wound stack. If it's a normal wound, you gain it. If it's a special wound, set it aside. Yes, these are fun too. Kind of like the previous expansion added gadgets that had special effects on, so they're not just playing. These are also adding wounds that do stuff. Marvel did this as well with Grievous wounds. But it kind of makes it fun because then it makes getting a wound even more serious, because it could just be, oh no, I got a wound. Oh no, it's just a dead card in my hand. Versus, ooh, now it's going to do something bad to me if I draw it. So then getting a wound takes a little bit more serious, serious tone to it. Then we have a new hero keyword. We have no one does it better. Nobody does it better than James Bond. What is it exactly? Well, anything. Nobody does it better is a new keyword that lets a hero have any of the 5 classes for the turn. These heroes don't have any of the 5 classes: covert, instinct, range, strength, or attack. Instead, they have the shutter symbol. You see at the opening when he fires into it. So you choose any one of the 5 classes, heroes that class for the rest of the turn. If you play that hero on a later turn, you can choose the same or different class. If it has more than one symbol, you can choose any number of different classes. So if you have 2, you have to choose 2 different ones. If you play 2 or more, nobody does it better. You can choose the same class for each one of them. So it's kind of neat. So basically, it covers all different classes. Each symbol it has covers a different one. If you play multiple of the same card, you can choose different ones for every single one of them. The villains get 2 new keywords. That Bite is a new keyword found exclusively on Jaws. At the end of each turn, Jaws tails a hero in the Q branch directly beneath his space. Then that Q space branch will not refill with another hero as long as Jaws is on the assignment. Once Jaws leaves on assignment, any bitten spaces will go back to normal. It is possible to be more than one copy of Jaws on assignment at a time. In this case, all of them must leave on assignment before any bitten spaces go back to normal. My personal thing, what I would say is then flip that card upside down. Don't just discard it and leave it empty, because then your brain might think to refill it. I just flip them upside down and they stay empty until you get rid of Jaws. Whether he leaves or you defeat him. But he is also indestructible. This means if he would be defeated, instead of going to the victory pile, he escapes. This works just like any other escaping villain. You will trigger a Mastermind's escape text, and need a hero gets tail in the KO branch that costs us 6 or less. If Jaws escapes, whether normally or from his indestructible ability, you will tail a hero in the Q branch before refilling any bitten spaces. Note, Jaws does have a victory point value because there might be references for those later. And right there is going to ask us, why would you bother to let him, why bother to fight him then? He's going to escape anyhow. Because the difference between him slowly destroying each spot in the Q branch before he escapes versus maybe defeating him on the first time and then not having to deal with it. Just kind of that. There are other rules in here to go over, but we're not going to go over too many of them until they come up if we need to. But one we do want to mention here is card counting. You can always count how many cards in your deck, as well as how many remain in the villain deck, hero deck, etc. It's especially important to keep track of how many cards are left in the villain deck during a set nuclear war steam, because the inevitable cause will cause missiles to explode. Yeah. Alright, so we'll come back to some of them in a little bit, if we need to. Alright, so we're going to look at our first card. So, we actually have one new special starter. So, I did say we weren't getting our regular 007 or 00 Agent starter cards, because we already have them for this particular Bond. But we do get one new special starter that you can now add in to play in this set. So now it's up to you if you want to just put this with the other Roger Moore stuff and then just have that, or if you want to attach it to this particular scenario. But it's Anglo-Soviet Cooperation. It costs 0. Of course, it's 0. It's a starter card. Give you 1 recruit. If you play 2 different heroes with the same class this turn, you and the next friendly player each draw a card. So that's pretty cool, right? Play multiple characters, same class, so you can get some extra stuff. Alright, let's hop into Bond here. Let's get Bond stuff first. So we have our 5 copies of Commander Bond. So this is gray. because it has that special keyword on it. Or has the little any symbol. Now it's kind of odd though, because when they show it in here, they show it as the full shutter, and then here it's kind of like almost like a half shutter. It's the same print they have down here, so it's kind of like somebody messed up there a bit, but that's all right. But it has the Nobody Does It Better. It does. It's nice that it does put the keyword down in the box as well for you, just in case. So you don't have to try and always remember what that symbol does. Maybe you haven't played for a bit. It does just help out a little bit. But yeah, it's 4 costs for 2, and it can be any color, which would be very nice if you're trying to trigger a bunch of different colored stuff. Alright, then let's jump into his next set of cards. We have 5 copies of a Strength card, Steejum. 3 costs, has 2 attack. If you have another Strength, you may put a hero from any friendly discard pile on the top of that player's deck. Ooh, this is a very cooperative set. We've had some that are a little bit more, you got more solo, but it's nice to have some good cooperative things in here. 3 copies of Not Rivals at the Moment, another Strength card. 5 costs, but it has 1 recruit and 1 attack. Well, you get to draw a card. And if you played a green, the next friendly player does the same effect. You definitely see how this is working to help out other players. And then his ultimate, which is, this is a crazy one, Wet Bike. So it costs 8 for 3 attack and 3 recruit. So basically 6, which is pretty good, but it has no other special ability. But it does have the 3 classes. And that's actually pretty important. Again, this is a very situational thing. Depending on what you play around it, it could mean absolutely nothing. But depending on where you play it, you play this first, and I'll say now you can trigger 3 abilities. Like his extra strength when you had, if you have a guy that has a covert and a guy that has instinct, you can trigger 3 abilities off of 1 card. And, which lets you play a wider range of different cards. But then if you're only going like 2 colors, and you only need, or if you have none that have them benefits from having other colors, then this card's still not too bad. 3 and 3 is not terrible. So that's pretty cool. I like that. Alright, let's jump to our Femme Fatale, our named ally. We have Anya Asimov, Agent Triple X, who has Covert, who then has an X cost, X recruit, and X attack, where X is equal to the number of times the mastermind has been fought this game. At the start of the game, X is 0. So you could buy her for free right off the bat. She's just not going to do anything until you eventually defeat a mastermind. But then it'll be 1, and then you defeat it, it'll be 2. Now, if you play her, let's say you defeated the mastermind twice, and each one's 2, so she costs 2 or costs that. If you defeat a mastermind after you've played her already, and you already get 2 recruit and 2 attack, you don't get a 3rd point. That being said, though, if she costs 2 and then you go and defeat a mastermind, now she costs 3 before you can purchase her. So it's kind of a neat little effect. And there's her triple X's on there to make sure we show that off. It's kind of fun. We have 5 copies of Never Failed a Mission, an instant card. 1 recruit, 1 attack for 4. At the end of your turn, when you draw a new hand, draw an extra card for each mission you've completed this turn. These bonuses from masterminds, bonuses from defeating missions. It's pretty neat. 3 copies of The Mission is Over, Commander. Another instant, 5 costs for 2 attack. You may KO a hero wound in your hand or discard pile. If you played an instant, the next player does the same effect. And it's also a maze, so it's not going to force anybody. And her ultimate is May the Best Woman Win. 7 costs for 3, which is pretty low, but let's see what it does. Draw a card for each Anya Asimov hero you played this turn, including this one. Each time you play another Anya Asimov hero this turn, draw a card. So cool, so every time, so this is a good and bad card. That's usually how these cards work. So, if you buy a lot of her cards, this is really powerful, because basically it's going to keep letting you play cards, draw one. if I played 3 and then I ended up drawing this card, or I get this card later, I get to draw extra cards. Otherwise, if I play this first, every time I play one, I get to draw more cards. And you could draw one, could funnel to get another one. So definitely be very powerful that way. The downside of it is, if you aren't buying a bunch of her cards, it's not going to be nearly as effective. So my only problem with this is being that it kind of pushes some of these cards, and it has this problem in Marvel a lot too. So it's not just like this character, some cards in this game, is that it kind of pushes you then to like, I'm buying all of Anya's cards, where someone else might be like, I'm buying all of Bond's cards. A third player might be like, I'm going to buy the vehicles. Because the deck synergize, each character synergizes with itself really well, and this one kind of pushes that a little bit more. So it kind of penalizes everybody buying an Anya card, because that means that's less for you to buy. But that's what it is. It's hard to sit there and say, oh, well, we'll just buy... I'll buy all her cards, and then maybe you never draw that card, and now everyone else has been denied that card, her cards as well. So it's kind of a catch-22 there. Alright, we have some allies. We have General Anatole Google. It's a covert. Cost 2 gives you +1. So if you play a covert, you get an additional 2. So early on, not that good, but then he can quickly become a little bit more powerful. And then eventually he'll start to become World is Welcome. We have 5 copies of Q, who has ranged, 3 cost, 1 attack. You may KO a hero in your hand if you do acquire a gadget. Ooh, this is even more fun, because if we're getting them special gadgets. I wish there were more cards that did stuff based off of gadgets. I keep referring to Marvel, but they came with Legendary first. But yeah, they had lots of characters who might gain bonuses if you rescued a bystander, which is the equivalent of a gadget. Now, I wish there were more cards that had stuff in here to do that, so actually make the gadgets a little bit more worth getting. But maybe they'll come out with that in one of the next sets. We have 3 copies of M. Covert, 5 cost if you 3 recruit. With the top 2 cards of your deck, discard any of them and put the rest back in any order. If you play a covert, next friendly player does the same. Very cool. Again, helping out your friends. And then the last one here is Commander Carter. Range for 8, and he does 3. You may gain a hero from the Q bench for free. If you play a covert, the next friendly player does the same effect. That's actually pretty good. A free hero could end up being a 2-cost hero. It could be another 6 or 7 cost, because you end up getting another ultimate that's sitting out there. So the value is just based on what's available. But the fact is, if you play a ranged card first, another player gets the same thing. So then you could definitely help build up your deck a little bit better, especially towards the end. You can get maybe a really good, powerful card. That's pretty fun. Cool. Alright. Then we're going to look at equipment. So we have 5 copies of the Telex Watch. 007 to report HQ. It's a watch that prints off the little sticky tapes. The 3 costs for 2 recruit. If you have a tech, you get +2 recruit, can only be used to recruit a hero. Interesting. Because typically that's all you use recruit for, but there are other sets that let you use recruit to, I guess defeating missions sometimes requires recruit, but there are some villains that have, one of the other expansions, we had Payoff, which you use recruit to pay a villain to defeat them instead, so it's kind of neat. Gives you a good bonus, but it's only for specific things. We have 5 copies of the Microfilm Viewer. 3 costs for 2. It's an instant, and if you play another instant, draw a card. Very simple. We have the Steep Hole Gun. Since nobody does it better, it has a 6 cost for 2 recruit, 2 attack. Gets you 2 symbols up there. So we have a 1. We've had a 1 cost, a 2 cost, and a 3 cost now. And so far, everyone but Anya's had one of these cards in there. Just kind of neat. That way, if you mix and matches with other sets, you're at least always going to get at least one. Yeah, pretty cool. All right, the ultimate for equipment is you shot your bolt, Stromberg. Instinct for 7 for 4. The next time you fight a mastermind this turn, cancel its tactics. Still put that card in your victory pile. All right, that is pretty good. Even for I can kind of be like 4, a little bit low on the attack, but the fact is you can shut off their tactics can be very powerful for a lot of these guys. Because some of them are like gain a wound or, discard a card from your hand or draw one less hand next turn. Not too bad. You can manage it. There are some that are really bad. Again, referencing one of the previous expansions, previous bonds, they had one where you put a base down that you had to defeat first. That would be terrible. Or like mind controlling. We can only imagine what this guy in this set's gonna do to us. I know it has some stuff with building the sea base. So Karl Stromberg's gonna build the sea base. You might need to do something. This might prevent you from getting that or completing it. So that can be very helpful. Cool. Alright, that's what we have for that. Our last character are the vehicles. So we have a ranged torpedo and the cool aqua car. 4 costs, 2 attack. Says range, you may surface a submerged villain or mission. If there are none, get +1 attack instead. So if we ignore the submerged part, just 1 attack, it's okay. 4 for 3 is not the best, but it's not too bad. Give me the fact that I can play a blue card, but the fact is you can do this submerge something. Very helpful for this set. It'll make this set really good. We have 5 copies of the amphibious cars. Gives you any color. 4 costs for 2 recruits. So it's not bad at all. We have 3 copies of the submersible mode. Tech card, 6 for 4. You may put a card from your discard pile on the bottom of your deck. Tech, the next friendly character cards in your discard pile does the same. Now, this, I don't know if in this deck it's going to be necessarily the best, but there are other characters and other sets that this could work really well with. That actually utilize the bottom of the deck. So I do like that, because I like that there's some good synergy between the different sets as well as just in the set itself. And their ultimate is Black Guy Slick. Bond, you are polluting the ocean right now. 7 costs for 4. You may surface a submerged villain, mission, or mastermind. If there are none, draw a card instead. Now, see, it's basically the same as that blue one we had. Except this also adds mastermind to it, which is very helpful. Again, very good in this set. You put this in some other sets, it's not using the submerged mechanic. It's not as good. Still not bad. 4 for 7, I guess, to draw a card. But again, this would be cool though if there's probably maybe 10 more movies they haven't done. Something like that. If they made at least 1 more movie with the submerged mechanic, so that way this would work with that, that would definitely be cool. Oh, and there goes my rule book. I'll grab that in a sec. Alright, so before we get... I think that's all we had. Yeah, we didn't get any new gadgets in this set. I was just double checking to see if we got any new gadgets. Alright, no, so we're going to go ahead and head into the villains. Alright, we got our mastermind, Karl Stromberg. I'm going to kind of zoom in on this one a little bit, because it's a smaller text. Always leads the Spy Who Loves Me villain group. So of course he does. And then he says, setup. He has Master Strikes to set up a little bit differently. We have 2 in B, 3 in C, and then Submerged Stromberg. So this is kind of interesting because he starts submerged. So that means you have to pay a submerged cost to even beat him. And then Yeah, but you won't have to worry about drawing any master strikes in the first thing. And then it's the active player draws a peril. If you fight him, he submerges. When he escapes, Strongbird submerges. If he's already submerged, each player gains a wound. So there might be something that puts him on the board, so he might act like everybody else. Otherwise, it costs 8 to beat. But if we flip him over to his submerged ability, it says pay 3 attack to submerge it, to surface him. So it's not terrible, but that means if you only defeat him in one turn, now he's 8, 9, 10, he's 11 to beat in one turn. Yeah, so that's kind of cool. Let's look at his masterminds. We have the Liparus, who says, fight, submerge each villain and on mission assignment that has submerged. If there are none, or they're already submerged at the end of your turn when you draw a new hand, discard 2 random cards. She basically is going to make everything more difficult. Instrument of Nuclear Annihilation. Fight, decrease the danger level by 1. This would increase the danger level by 1. If this would cause evil to win, instead of increasing the danger level, tail the highest cost hero among your hand, discard, pile, or play area. Oh, that's kind of neat. So you won't auto win the game, which is nice, but it can definitely mess you up. The Funeral was at sea. Fight, draw a peril. If you don't suffer its effects, until the end of your next turn. You're just trying to say that if I defeat him, like I played 2 cards right away, play 2 big cards, I defeat him, and I still have more stuff to do, I don't have to now defeat that until the end of my next turn. It gives me a full another round to do it. Sit down, Mr. Bond. Gain a normal wound and put it on top of your deck. Very straightforward, but it works. Alright, then let's look at our Steams. Alright, so we have 2 different ones. We have Create a New World Beneath the Sea. So always uses the Liparus Soldier Henchman group. Has 4 Steam twists, 1 in A, 1 in B, and 2 in C. Twist. Put the twist underneath one of the 4 corners of the playmat. It is now a Pillar of Atlantis. Special rules. For each pillar, it costs 1 recruit or 1 attack to surface a submerged card. So, I would assume you'd say it costs 1 more of whatever it already costs. If it costs recruit points, it costs 1 more recruit point. During each player's turn, if they have all 5 classes and one of their heroes in play, they may KO a pillar. Danger level 7. Yeah, so if you get all 4 pillars out, that's going to make them submerged cards very hard to deal with. And then the fact is, though, but we also have the No One Does It Better card. It'll help you gain all your 5 classes a little bit easier. So they're kind of showing here how they should go. So they put them in the upper corners of the game board. And then it's just to show that they're creating the 4 pillars around the thing. Now, if you choose to, you can just stack all 4 next to the mastermind, as long as you make sure you realize that's what they are, or stack them, like maybe line them up underneath this card, just so you know which ones are which if you don't want to put stuff under your board. Alright, then the other one we have is Incite Nuclear War. So this always uses the Incite Nuclear War mission group. 5 Steam twists. Put the twists in the rightmost open airspace as a missile. Airspaces are above the center 3 on assignment spaces. If not open, it explodes and evil wins. So, there are 3 spaces above the board, and you have 5 Steam twists. So, on assignment, on the assignment space beneath the missile is open, you may pay 4 to reprogram the missile so it crashes safely into the ocean. KO it. When an inevitable mission enters assignment, if there are any missiles in the air, they explode and evil wins. So this is very interesting because so basically you have to clear the board below these spaces, and then take these things out. And if too many get out, game loses. There's only 5 of them, so it's gonna happen sooner than later. And then also on the fact is that if the inevitable mission gets out there, you're gonna auto lose anyhow. So here it's showing the spaces where they go on the board. So it's only going to be able to do it if the bottom 3 here are empty. And you start with the rightmost one first, so you have to put them this way. Yeah, so it's a very interesting mission to play as. Alright, we are going to hop into our group, our villain group. We have deck A, we have Sandor. You can't fight this villain unless you play a strength hero this turn. It costs 3 to beat. And then we have Jaws, of course. Everyone knows Jaws. Indestructible and Bite, and he takes 4 to take out. In deck B, we have an uninvited guest who has Flying. Flying means it automatically starts in the first open space. You can't fight this hero unless you play a blue card this turn. Ooh, this is fun. So we have lots of stuff dealing with the colors in the hero decks, but now we're getting stuff in the villain decks. So we're going to do that as well. Escape. Active player draws a peril. Motorcycle Assassin, who has Chase and Ambush. The active player gains a wound. And Chase means when he enters play, and after any turn, after the villain's been played, this guy moves forward 1 space. And then we have, in deck B, we also have a second Jaws, who has Bite and Indestructible, and now he costs 7 to beat. In deck C, we have the Atlantis Frogmen, who have Ambush, they submerge and escape. Well, the active player draws a card, and then if we flip their card over, it says submerge, pay 4 to beat them. So they take a total of 9 if it's in 1 turn. Surveillance Camera, costs 6 to beat. You can't fight this villain unless you play a tech hero this turn. Escape, each player tails 1 random hero in their hand with a cost of 1 or more. And then our final villain is the third Jaws, who's now up to 9, who has Persist as well. This card would be pushed off the assignment. Instead, it stays where it is, and the card pushing it escapes. So now he gets to the end. He just sits there, so he won't force himself off the board. Which is kind of fun. Our missions, we have deck A, we have Steep Pursuit, which has Chasing it. This is Incite Nuclear War mission. Failure, active player draws a peril. Meet Contact at Giza. You can't complete this mission unless you played a covert hero this turn. So I think we just haven't seen Instinct. In B, we have, there we go, Recover a Microfilm. You can't complete this mission unless you play a covert hero this turn. Or sorry, Instinct hero this turn. Failure, each player discards a random card from their hand. Also in deck B, we have Drop in for a Quick Bite. Ambush, active player gains a wound. This mission has +1 attack for each escaped villain. Ooh boy. Which means Jaws. Every time you beat him, he will escape. So that as that comes later and later, you might have two, maybe even 3 Jaws if you're unlucky. Because if you defeat him, he escapes. And then we have Investigate Atlantis, who has Ambush, he submerges. This one you have to pay Recruit for, but it costs an additional 4 to surface it. I feel like they made that blue to help it stand out, which is really good. Reprogram the nuclear subs. Success. If there are any missiles in the air or pillars of Atlantis, you may take up to 2 of them. Yes, this is kind of neat because it works very well with both scenarios. But it's not going to help out if you're playing. Obviously, you're playing this, you're using Incite Nuclear War, which is the missiles, but the Pillar of Atlantis works with the other Steam as well. So that's kind of fun that it's going to work with either Steam or Mission Group. Or either Steam, so that's kind of neat. But if you play this with any other, if for some reason you add this into any other Steam, then this card's basically useless. So it's kind of interesting. Rescue Anya, 10. Ooh. If you gain any Anya Asimov heroes this turn, this mission has -5. I like that. That's really fun. And our last deck C is How Does That Grab You? Succeed, you may move a villain or mission, including the inevitable card, to any open space on assignment. You can't move a card to the right of the inevitable cards. This basically help move Jaws back if you need to. Then finally we have our inevitable card, which is Escape Atlantis. Ambush. If there are any misses in the air, evil wins. Otherwise, submerge this. It can't surface and be completed on the same turn. Success. Instead of defeating this, move it to the right one space and it submerges. This doesn't cost much to beat it, but it's going to submerge immediately. And it can't be surfaced and completed on the same turn. So you have to pay 2 to surface it, and then it's going to move over. Then you have to pay 3 to move it back. And when you move it back, it's going to submerge. You're going to constantly be fighting with that every turn. At least it doesn't cost much. So, like, I could do it on my turn, then the next player could move it back, flip, and then third player could submerge it, or surface it, and then the fourth player could move it back. So you just have to play around with that. So it's kind of a fun, different way to do that one. Alright, then we have our Kang Henchmen, which we have 3 copies of the 2 cost to defeat, 4 copies of the 3 cost, and 3 copies of the 4 cost. And they are the Liparus Soldier Henchmen, which have Ambush, they submerge, fight, and the next friendly player draws a card. That's actually really fun, right? Because it lets everybody, it helps you out. So sometimes the cards are usually bad and they do bad things. I like when they have some that are a little bit nicer. Submerge, pay 2 to surface this card. So it does technically cost anywhere from 4 to 6 to beat him, but you get a bonus for it, which is really good. I always remember in Marvel, the base set had Hand Ninjas, which when you defeated them, you always gained a recruit point, which was nice because you put that in a little bit easier for getting their own negative. And then the Sentinels, which could be good or bad, because they let you KO something, so they gave you more options of getting rid of your starter cards. Alright, then we have some Perils. So Perils have a special, like, yellow-red border on them. They're also going to have an end thing on the bottom. So when you draw a Peril like Falling Blocks, it says, by the end of the turn, player recruit James Bond hero and calmly step aside or adjust your tide. Then at the end of your turn, before you draw a new hand, you may put that hero on top of your deck. So you just got player recruited James Bond card, and then you get that card ready for your next turn. Or get clipped by the block. When you draw a new hand, draw 2 fewer cards. I do like to have a little bit of like not just be like, pay this or this happened. Like they're kind of adding a little bit of like dialogue in there. It's kind of neat. So you have the Hidden Gunman. Fight a villain to swing them into the path of the bullet. Then put that villain in front of you instead of defeating it. The next time you would gain 1 or more wounds, defeat that villain instead. Or get shot. Gain 3 normal wounds. The Water Chute. Play here to the total cost of 10 or more to climb out of the chute. Then reduce the danger level by 1. Or slide down the chute, increasing the danger level by 1. Tiger Shark. Generate a total of 10 recruit and attack. Distract the shark and escape. This turn you may spend recruit as attack and vice versa. So does it say? I just want to always double check sometimes. Nope, sometimes they have like extra rules for these. Or get bait. When you draw a new hand, KO the highest cost hero there at the cost of 1 or more. Table Mounted Gun. By the end of the turn, pay 6 attack to shoot down the barrel of the gun, then put a normal wound next to the Mastermind. They get -1 for the rest of the game. Or the Mastermind fires. Put this card next to the Mastermind, they get +1 for the rest of the game. Machine Gun Murder Holes. I love the game. Play a hero and recruit a hero at the same cost to flank the guns. At the end of your turn, before you draw a new hand, you may put 1 of them on the top of your deck and you may put the other on the bottom. Interesting. Or the enemy opens fire. Gain 2 normal wounds, put 1 of them on the top of your deck and the other on the bottom. Interesting. 2 heroes at the same cost. That could be tricky. Flamethrower Murder Holes. Player recruit a hero with a cost of 5 or more to charge the flamethrower. Then at the end of your turn, before you draw a new hand, you may shuffle that hero into your deck. Or the enemy ignites the flamethrower. Gain 2 normal wounds and shuffle them into your deck. the sidecar missile. Play or recruit a vehicle hero to outdrive the sidecar missile. Then you may move a villain or on assignment to any open space. Or the sidecar missile keeps tracking you. Put this card to the rightmost on assignment space. It is now a villain with a 4 attack and chase. Oh, nice. We have elevator, trapdoor. By the end of turn, pay 3, recruit and 3 attack to press against the walls to keep them from falling. Then draw 2 cards. Or at the end of your turn, fall into the hole. When you draw a new hand, discard 2 random cards. And then the final one we have is actually an ally, which is kind of, or a hero card we can use. Treacherous Contact. So by the end of turn 4, pay 4 to bring her over to your side, then gain this card. It's now an instant hero with draw a card. Or she gets to drop on you. The next turn, play an extra villain from your deck. And that's really cool. I like these peril cards. They're really fun. I think that I kind of wish it seemed like there wasn't maybe a lot of stuff that maybe drew them. But I kind of like this is the idea of having as a side deck almost, as opposed to it being like Marvel where they're in with the villain groups. Because in the villain groups, sometimes, okay, I did 3 villain groups, I maybe got 3 traps. Here, I might end up seeing 4 or 5 traps in a game. So maybe not a ton of difference. But I also like the fact of something like this is because they could, again, add another expansion later on that adds 10 more trap cards. And now you can shuffle some more and maybe have another ally that gets added in, which would be really fun. Just some different stuff they could think of. You know, oh, poison to drink, right? Something like that. Or, yeah, who knows, like, exploding car or something like that. Like, you know, just various things they could add to some of the, add from another movie. And you could just shuffle all these together and have one big giant peril deck. And another set with peril, then you have more cards you could flip around. Same thing, these keywords, if they just add them up in more sets, it'd be cool. And I get that James Bond isn't going to have 40 sets like Marvel. It's just going to be, they're not going to be able to wait as long to bring back keywords. But I really hope they do. Alright, then the last 5 cards we have in the set are our special wounds. We have Goodbye, Mr. Bond. So when you draw this card, gain a peril, then KO this wound. So you have 5 cards here that could potentially get you these. Again, these special wounds are really fun. You just shuffle them in, now the deck space down, you don't need to have. Again, more sets add more different wounds. That could be really fun because then you have even less than an idea of what you're going to end up accidentally drawing. And again, it makes wounds more difficult to want to get. Because right now it's like, before that I got a wound. Again, just a dead card in my hand. It kind of sucks. But here you get one, now you have to draw a peril card, which now you have to spend resources. You may or may not be able to do it. It might wreck your hand next turn. Yes, it's a little bit trickier. Cool. That is what we have for The Spy Who Loved Me. So that's really fun. We came back to Roger Moore. We have another thing. So yeah, some new keywords, some new bonds, some new mechanics, which are really fun. Again, I really hope they put some more of these in a set. Conversely, I know they made these smaller sets are easier for people to pick up. I almost wish they just done like a second big box set for all 4 of these expansions, and like every once in a while just release a full box set with all 4 4 sets from 4 different like movies. That'd have been cool as well. But I do like just single expansions, I guess, better than buying a bigger one, just a little bit easier to digest price-wise. Yeah, so I'll check in the links. I'll put the links for all the videos for all the legendary sets. They're at least currently out. Hope you guys enjoyed. See you guys later. Bye.